I'm Tim, welcome to the channel. This is a continuation of my Lightburn for Newbies series, and today we're going to be, well, this is actually going to be a two-parts video because there's so many things to cover. But we're going to be going through the toolbars that are in the Lightburn interface and what every tool does and some different ways that you can use them in your projects. So let's get right into Lightburn and get going. Okay, first off, if your toolbar does not look like this with all these things extended out, first thing I'm going to recommend, and I recommended it in my previous video, is to turn off beginner mode. You do that by clicking into the laser or the settings menu, and this very first setting is beginner mode. Just turn that off. It disables some things that we really want to have available. So that's first. If your toolbar looks like this, where you have all these drop downs that got to show up and doesn't have the wide, I recommend changing that to the long arrange menu. I'm going to turn off arrange and then turn on arrange long. And you see you have each of the individual settings options is there without having to go through a drop down menu, except for over here. So it's one less step that you have to go through when you're doing your designs. So let's just start on the top menu bar here and go across. And the nice thing about Lightburn is if you hover over any item, a tooltip will pop up. Hover there for a couple seconds, it pops up telling you what it is and if any shortcut keys are they available. So here, this first is new. That starts a new file, new project. Self-explanatory. This one here, open. That opens a Lightburn file or a Lightburn project file. This is your save button, and this is your import button for importing graphics. One mistake I see a lot of people make is they'll use the import button, and you can import a Lightburn file with the import button, but that only imports the graphics. That doesn't import any settings that you have saved with the file. So when you make a project and save it with your something you've already burned or whatever, and you have the settings, your layer settings set up, when you save the file, all those settings save with it. If you open the file, those settings come back in, and you don't have to figure anything out again. Whereas if you import, it's only going to bring the graphics from that file in and not have any settings. It'll be default settings, whatever your defaults are. So, something to keep in mind. Up here we have the undo and redo buttons. They're very self-explanatory, and those keys are your friend to learn the keystrokes. So you use it a lot. Control Z, Command Z on a Mac, or Control Shift Z, Command Shift Z for redo. I use undo all the time. I'll try something or something will move inadvertently in trying to work in the interface. Just a quick Control Z and you're back to where you were. So up here are your edit tools: cut, copy, paste, and delete. So that's just standard tools that you use all the time in every other. And the same normal keystrokes: Command X, Command Z, Command V, and for delete, either delete key or backspace on a Mac. The next here is the pan. If you click on this, you can drag the user interface wherever you need to. But another way, if you have a 3-button mouse, a mouse with a wheel, if you hold down on the center mouse wheel, you get the pan hand right like that. Or if you hold the space bar and left click, you get that. So there's the 3 ways you can move your interface around just to get into a certain area. Now this is your zoom to page. This is going to be zoom in. This is zoom out. And this is zoom to frame selection. And I'll show you what that does real quickly. Make a square. And that's selected. If I unselect it, well, it's the only thing on the screen, so that's why it did that. But it zoomed right into our rectangle we just drew. Before I go anywhere else, we need to discuss the selection tools, or the mouse selection actions. So if I drag from the right, you see we get a green box. As soon as I touch an object, it selects it. Let me add a couple more items in here. So as soon as I touch one, it selects it. All 3 are selected. If I come from the left, now it only selected the polygon. It didn't select the rectangle. So when you're selecting from the left, it only will grab things that are completely encompassed. Like here, it's going to grab those 2. If you go from the right, it selects anything it touches. But from the left, only things that are completely encompassed. See, if I'd have gone with the same selection area here, now here I select both of them. So just something to be aware of, and you'll get used to in a little bit. Update the background from the camera. I don't have a camera set up on any of my machines, so I can't show you how that works. But if you are using a camera, that will bring the camera view. Like if you move something on your camera view is an overlay on this screen, and it shows whatever's on the bed. If you place a new workpiece on the bed or move something around, you'll want to update the view because this does not provide a live view. This only takes a snapshot. So you have to click the update to get a current snapshot showing whatever's on the bed. This next one looks like your monitor. That's your preview window. If you click on that, it brings up a preview window, shows your graphics, whatever you're doing, gives you a time estimate. If you have show traversal moves on, it'll show that. You can see the red line here, it's coming in, and watch as I play it. As I play it around, it starts in the top right, goes around this rectangle, and ends up back there. And this gives you an estimated time. Let me get a different graphic in here. Double click on that and put this in a fill mode. Okay. So now if I bring it up, with traversal moves on, you can see how it shows the overscan, shows every scan line that it's going to do. It shows the path of the laser. If I turn that off, it just shows the graphic itself. If I turn on invert, it shows you what this would look like on a dark background. Say if you're burning this onto a tumbler where you're burning off the powder coating, you can get a better idea of what the silver is going to look like on a dark background. So that's just another. This does not affect the output. This is only in preview, this invert. If you want to actually change the output, there's a couple different ways you can do that depending on what you're doing. Now here we've already talked about this, just your settings menu and your device settings menu. And if you missed those videos, I've got other videos that talk about each of those specifically. Okay, and here is your group. So say I select two items. If I click group, now when I select either one, they're grouped together. Those two items are in all essence one item. And I can ungroup by clicking on the single character. So multiple character groups them together, the single character ungroups them, and you can do the same thing by right clicking and come down here and group, or right click and ungroup. So a lot of these functions are available in different ways, and is also in the arrange, I think, is group. Yeah, group is also in the arrange menu, or you can learn the keystrokes, Control G and Control U for ungroup. All right, now here, and see these are grayed out. They're grayed out because nothing's selected. So you have to have something selected in order for them to work. So this is to mirror vertically, and see I just flipped it upside down and put it back. This is mirror horizontally, that flips it side to side. Mirror across a line. So let's say I put a line here. Okay, got to make a line. Okay, so I select this. Oop. Select that graphic. Shift, select the line, and then do that. And now it mirrors it across that. With that, it's the center point of the mirror. Notice how it did that? Because it's at an angle, it took this whole section, here and flipped it along that line. We'll get into some of our alignment tools here. So say we want to center this graphic inside this box. I'll select the graphic, shift and select the box, and now if I hit the bullseye icon, it puts it dead center. And selection order matters. Watch, I'm going to undo this now. If I select the box first, and then shift select the graphic and do that, the box is going to move. Let me get rid of these guys. So it's whichever one you select last is where it's going to move to, or what's going to align with. Let's go back here, and I've got the box selected last. So now if I select align left, it's going to align to left, center, right. And you see the line tells you where it's going to go to. So line top, center, bottom. If I just want to go back to center, you can go there and there, but they have the bullseye feature which centers both horizontally and vertically at the same time, which is a very handy tool. I use it all the time. Now we're getting into make selected items the same width. Watch this one. All right. So whichever one you select last, so I'm going to select these two first, and then shift select this little one. Make them the same width. Now they're all the same width. Make them the same height. Now they're all the same height. You can't see that one back there, but it's there. Move this out of the way. So you see now, by clicking those two buttons, I've made all three identical. Let me undo that. Get this out of the way. In fact, we can delete that for now. So say I want to make them all the size of this middle one. So I'll select these two first, then shift and select that. And now they're all the same width, all the same height as this one. Whichever one you select last is the one that's in control. Just like with the alignment tools, whichever one you select last is the one that's using to control it. Okay. Now next we have distribute. So let's say we'll just select all three. And because they're distributed that way, I'm going to hit this one, which distributes them based on the center point. So the center points are all lined up. That doesn't look right. You want to go based on the space between. You click this one here. You see how it's got the line that's on the edge, so it's showing the space between, where the other one, the alignment is on the center. Now let's see what happens if we go that way. Only one moves because they're not really spaced properly. So, but if I change it, move this guy down here, and this one there, and now select them all, and do the verticals, now they're centered on the center, and now there was a space in between. And I know it wasn't very drastic, but you'll get the idea of how those work. Now, this here is for placing. Click that, it places it in top left corner, top right corner, bottom left, bottom right, center. This one here moves the laser to whatever position. And this one here moves the selection to whatever position. So if you click on that, it brings up a big old pop-down menu. And you can choose any of these, like there, go to top center. And this one here moves the laser to a certain area. So those I don't use very often, but they're there, just so you can know what you got here. Now, let's move on to the next line here, our next top menu. This is the X position and Y position of the selected piece in your work area. Because this is my CO2 laser, which has 0 over here on the right and 0 on the top. And looking at here, these numbers are based off the 9 dot selector here. Right now it's looking at this position here. I'm going to change it to the top corner. And see, now it has the Y position as 0, because that's where it's at on the Y line. And the X position is 278, which is over here. If I change it to center, it changes everything, because now it's measuring from this point right here in the center. If I go back to there, now it's measuring from this corner over. So because we're working with this coordinate system, and let's just go that way, we want to start there. So I'm going to go to 0, 0. All you can do is just type in 0 and enter. And it moves that corner to the 0, 0 position. Now, on this particular machine, I have a couple of fences set up. I have one fence set up that's right at the 700, because that's the extent of my machine, and I have one that's set up at 650, which allows for overscanning when I'm doing an engraving mode, and that's the one I use most of the time. So for that one, if I want to move something into the edge of my L fence, I will select the top left of the 9 dots, and I'll go 650, enter, and that aligns it to where my design is exactly lined up with my fence that I have set up on the machine. But you can use this in combination with anything else, and you can also do math in any of these boxes that have an input. You can do math. So say I want to move it over 13 millimeters for whatever reason. So because I'm going to that direction, I'll go minus 13, and it does the math and comes up with 637. Say I want to move it down by 2 millimeters, so I go plus 2. You can do math in any of these dialog boxes. It's super handy to do that. I do use that. Another feature I use all the time. Okay, now the next section here, right here, is the size of your selected graphics. See, this one is 144 by 129. That one is 51 by 93. That one is 296, whatever by, yeah. So you can change them. You can click on the arrow keys and they'll go up. And you notice both numbers are moving together because we have this lock aspect ratio lock selected. Let me make this an even 200. So now it changed my X to 200 and my Y ended up being whatever it is. Well, I want to make it 200 by 200. So if I come down here and I type 200, it changes the X. So you have to unlock so that you can change the axes individually. Now it's 200 by 200, and I can drag it, move it around, whatever, and it'll change like that. But we don't want to do that. So, and here again, you can use math. So you want to add 20 millimeters plus 20. And then again, this goes back to the 9-dot system. It moved 20 millimeters to the right. Watch here, I'm going to undo that and it's going to move back to the left. Now if I put the 9-dot over here and do it, plus 20, and let me put that in the same place so it's on the line, enter. Now it moved it to the left. If I put it in the center, go plus 20, it's going to move it both directions. It's going to move it equally both ways. So that's how you can adjust a design with just math very quickly and easily and know where it's going, which way it's going to go. You know, because we're only moving along the X, it doesn't matter which of the vertical ones we chose because we didn't change the Y. But if we wanted to change the Y, it would be the same thing. Now if we go plus 20, it moves down. If I go to the bottom, plus 20, it moves up. So next over here we have a percentage scale. We can increase it by just clicking it and it'll go up 1% at a time. And you notice that the number never changes from 100% because that's, once you change it, the new number is 100%. And if you go back down, you will not get back exactly where you were because the percentage has changed. It's a math thing. Just trust me. You can't go up and then back and be exactly the same place. I'll change that back. But you can go, let's say, plus 10%. So now it's up 110%, which is made 220. Makes perfect sense, right? And because I had the aspect ratio locked, it moved both directions. If I didn't have it locked, it's only going to move one direction. Now rotate. I'm going to go back to the top left. Let's go 45 degrees. And it rotated it from the top left corner. Undo. 45. It rotated it from that point. So whichever dot you have selected, they're rotated around the center. So every time you make changes here, it will make it according to which of the 9 dots you have selected, as well as rotate. Now the button here, millimeters and inches, that changes your entire workspace from back and forth between inches and millimeters. And I'm going to recommend, if you can wrap your brain around it, work in millimeters. Your machine speaks millimeters. It's an easier, more precise, an easier way to be precise on your dimensions. You know, especially if you're used to working in imperial measurements, you'd be working in, I need 7 1/8 inches. Well, that's 7.125. But what if I need 7 3/16? How much is that? You know, it's if you work in millimeters, it's just easier. And something you can do here in Lightburn, another one, very cool feature. Say I want this to be 6 inches across the width. 6, type in IN, 6 inches, and hit enter. It just made the change in inches, but it's still displaying in millimeters. Another way you can do it, you can do 4 and use the inch sign. That works as well. But if you just do 4, it's going to be millimeters. Back to 200. So, you can very easily just type in using the IN, or you can use the single quote, or just a quote sign for inches. Let's say I want to do 1 foot. I use a single quote. That's going to make it 12 inches. So that's the dimensioning and positioning sections in Lightburn. Let's get rid of all this. Okay, and now we're going to get in. I'm going to save fonts for a little bit later. Let's get over here to the vertical menu, because these are basic tools that you need to be able to use, and I've been using them and haven't explained them yet. So this is the select button, select key, whatever. That's how you choose items. Here's your line pencil tool. If you click, move, click again, move, click again, move, click again, move. If you click and drag, it brings out Boolean handles and starts doing curved lines on you. So if you're clicking while dragging, it's doing all kinds of weird things. Then you either right click to get out of it, or just hit the escape key and it'll get out of it your current drawing. Had to hit the escape key a second time to get back to the select button. So now if I with the select, I can click on it, and now I can grab this handle and move it wherever I want to. Now let's delete that. I'm going to show you a couple tricks here with the line tool. You want a straight line, remember to click and just move your mouse. Don't drag it. Just move your mouse. If you hold down the shift key, that's going to give you this X axis. That will limit your line, constrain it to either a 90 degree or a 45 degree position. So either straight across, straight up and down, or one of the 45 degree axes. That will constrain it to that. And then just hit your left button again when you get to your length and click it. Again, if you want to go straight down, click, hold shift, straight across, and bring it back up and click. And right there, you see where the cursor changed. That's going to close this shape. I right click to get out of there. And now we have a rectangle. So that's the simple of the line tool. Just like I say, you can go any direction. You don't have to. You're not constrained to the 45 unless you want to be. See that one. The first line did not go on to 45. It went whatever angle that was. Okay. Just delete that. Next is our rectangle tool. You click on it, you come over to the workspace, click, and drag out. And you can drag out any size you want. And while you're dragging, if you have a certain size you're wanting to get to, if you look down the very bottom of the screen, you can see the numbers changing. Right here, 198, 123. That aligns with this 198, 123. So while you're drawing, you can see what it goes to. But it doesn't matter because you can always go back up here and change it to 200 after you're done drawing it, and it'll make the dimensions whatever you want it to be. But while you're drawing out, if you want a perfect square, click and drag. If you hold down the shift key while you're dragging, it will constrain the proportions and make it a perfect square. If you hold on the command key while you're dragging, it will drag it with the center position being where you started. So if you notice here, if I'm just dragging, it started at this corner and dragging out. But if I hold down the Command key or Control key and drag, it's going to go from the center and work its way out. If I hold down the Shift key with it, it's going to make it a perfect square from the center. Those are the basic functions of your rectangle tool. Control A, select everything and delete it. Now we'll go to our circle tool, or ellipse tool they call it. Same thing there. You can draw out any shape of oval or circle you want. And while you're drawing it out, if you look at the bottom, you can see the sizing of it. If you hold the Shift key, it makes it a perfect circle. If you hold the Command key, it goes from the center position where you started. If you hold Command Shift, it makes a circle from the center. From where you started to draw at. So look there again, if I start right here and hold down Command Shift, it's going to make a perfect circle centered on that point. This is our Polygon tool, and by default that comes in as 6 positions. And same thing, you can do all kinds of weird stuff with it, make it any shape you really want, but if you hold down Shift, it makes it a perfect constrained polygon where all the lines are the same size. So let's go with that. And then I'll hit Escape to bring up our selection window, and that brings up all this information here. And I didn't show this on the square, on the rectangle. I'll go back to that in just a second. But right now, if I hold down the Command or Control key, it gives me this purple dot. If you click on that, if you go up or to the left, it changes it, reduces the number of sides. If you go down or to the right, it increases the number of sides to where I think it maxes out at 64. Let's find out. So we'll go, as you go to Shape Properties, oh, it's 20, maxes out at 20 from that way. And if you don't have Shape Properties, there again, go to the Window menu and make sure Shape Properties has the checkbox beside it, and it'll show up over here somewhere on your screen where you can work with it. But in Shape Properties is another way you can do that. I can go here and choose 5 sides and hit Enter, and now I've got a pentagon. So when you go changing them, if you drag, it's not going to drag proportionally. Now let's go from the corner here. It will. Okay. Let's go back to, I'm going to delete that, go back here to the rectangle. Now if you notice here, if I click on the Command or Control key, I'll get this blue dot. If I go to the right, it radiuses the corner. If I go up, it makes it an inverse radius. Which is, a lot of times people will do that for a sign. They'll just do that little scalloped edge like that, and that's the look they go for. Or, like I say, you can go to full radius anywhere along the spectrum by dragging that blue dot. That's one. The controller command key brings up the blue dot that you can do the radius with. This button down here, you've got your corners. Each corner will allow you to drag it out or rotate it. So look at how your cursor changes. Here it's going to make it stretch out. If I move out just a little bit more, now it rotates the entire thing. I'm going to undo. This here stretches it lengthwise. This stretches vertically, stretches lengthwise and vertically, and this just moves the entire shape. Now these two dots here, they actually skew it. See how it skews that way or that way. So you can create a rhombus, I guess it's called, by using those, and that same feature applies in the Polygon tool. So we can radius it, warp it, etc., etc. Next we have the scissors tool, or the snipping tool. So watch this. We can make a completely new shape here really quickly. Let's get rid of that point. Let's get rid of that point. Let's get rid of this. And you see everything you hover over, it shows you what it's going to snip, what's going to be snipped away. I select that. Select that. We have one little leftover spot here. Undo. That was from the original shape that didn't cut away. So now, and when you snip, it also attempts to close the shape as it goes. If it's able to close the shape, it'll close the shape wherever you make your snips. So this next is the tab tool. That is for when you're cutting out a project and you want to have tabs installed in it, so that tabs or bridges, sometimes they're called either one, so that it leaves a section that's not cut out in a line. So you want to cut this out of a piece of wood, but you don't want it to fall out, so you want to have a couple little tabs or bridges that hold it together. Well, if you use the tab tool, you can choose exactly where those tabs go. If you select it in layer properties, let me go over here. I know I'm jumping around, but if you turn on tabs and bridges, now they're off. If you turn it on, and that's in manual, if you turn on automatic, it'll put them wherever it thinks it wants to go, and you have control over spacing, etc. So if I want to go every 100, it won't have near as many. But if you choose manual, tabs, it allows you to add or move the tabs wherever you want them to, and if you want to get rid of them, just double click on it and it'll go away. So that's your tabs tool. And they don't show up here, but they do show up when you do a preview. Put that out of invert. And they're so small, they're difficult to see, but you see right there is one. There's another one. So delete that. Alright, I'm going to call this the end of part 1 because this video is getting pretty long already, and there's still a lot to cover yet. So if you found value here, give the video a like, subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for the next video coming out in a couple days, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.